Cut down some trees. Really? We're in the middle of a war and you want me to cut down some freaking trees?
Show those trees no mercy.
Show those trees no
What
mercy.
good does magic do anyway?
Shenanigans, back again, and welcome to MMOMG. I am 2 weeks into Riders of Icarus, currently questing at Parna's Coast. Earlier this week, I completed the Ruins of Matron in Story and Elite 2 difficulty, though I skipped Zappello after dying to him multiple times. I'd like to note that instead of spending to repair your gear after dying, your character gains a debuff called Dire Wound. The debuff gets progressively worse if you die multiple times without dealing with it, but you can remove it by paying a mender or using scrolls to cure it, both of which aren't really that expensive. I find that it's a nice, simple system, provides a penalty for failure, but it does away with the whole tracking gear durability that a lot of other MMOs do. Anyway, I think I prefer this game's dungeons to the rest of its content so far. As someone that typically reads quest text, I've gotten so bored of it in this game that I started skipping it probably halfway into the first week. Aerial combat isn't nearly as fun as I imagined either. Basically, you circle strafe your target and fire at range. While the dungeons here aren't particularly mind-blowing, they at least feel well planned, with more areas, bosses, and debuffs revealed on higher difficulties. I did have something strange happen this week while fighting Chief Synthen on Elite difficulty. I can't tell if it was a bug or an intentional boss mechanic. On the final encounter with Synthen, I tried pulling him out from his semicircle area. So I got his HP down, he called for support, a handful of Yetis joined the battle. Trying to kite and burn down the ads, I got too far from him, and he reset. This happened 2 or 3 times, leaving me to clean up the ads and restart the fight. On the 3rd, maybe 4th attempt, I stayed a lot closer and kited him doing laps around the wall. I kept watching for additional Yetis, but they never appeared, and I finally defeated Synthen. Looking online, I couldn't find any information suggesting to stay close so he doesn't call in the ads, or that he would stop spawning them, or there was a bug or glitch at some point. I don't know. I found it interesting, and maybe it's a bit of useful info for anyone trying to solo him. As for the rest of this video, I will be focusing on familiars and their various uses. Familiars are kind of the game's main selling point, and knowing how to obtain and use them effectively is an important aspect of the game. So to tame a familiar, you activate your taming skill, you jump on its back. This starts a minigame. You're prompted to hit W, A, S, or D to avoid being thrown off. Many elite and better beasts require special items to even attempt taming them, and that's obtained usually by crafting and a combination of rare loot drops. The special item is consumed as soon as you start to attempt the taming, and there's a random element to all taming attempts which can swing the outcome wildly. This can make taming rarer mobs frustrating if you fail, but rewarding when you succeed. Once tamed, the familiar becomes a mount. Like your character, the mount has its own levels. It gains XP, though, just by being active in the world. As the familiar levels, it learns new abilities that you can use while it is active, as well as some passive buffs. Familiars have a variety of other uses besides mounts, though. With an appropriate scroll, you can convert your mount into a pet. Pets retain all the abilities as they were in mount form, and they even level like mounts, but instead they accompany you when you're on foot. While you can set a pet's behavior to fight alongside you, this isn't normally recommended. Pet energy drains quickly just by moving around, and engaging in combat will drain it even faster. The typical use for pets is to make use of their passive buffs as they follow you. I was pretty disappointed to find this out, that pets are relegated to nothing more than kind of walking buffs. I feel this game is missing out on some potential here in the form of a class or talent spec that specializes in pets as a main combat style. I think that would be an interesting addition. Anyway, most common familiars have fairly weak passive buffs. You'll probably find an elite that has something suitable to your character class. Obtaining the pet of your dreams, though, will take some work. Not only will you need the proper item to tame the beast, which can be a bit of a hassle, I'll explain later on, you'll also need an elite or better pet scroll to convert it afterward. Elite scrolls can be found in heroic dungeons, though they have a tiny chance, very tiny chance, to drop from any mob anywhere. To give you an idea of this rarity, I didn't see an elite pet scroll as a random loot drop until about level 25. So expect some grinding or to hit up the auction house. I think the average price on Hakkane at the moment is about 10 gold. Alternatively, you can seal a familiar into a crystal, permanently removing it from your roster. A sealed familiar can be slotted into gear, providing stat buffs for your character. Of course, those stats vary depending on what mob you sealed. After level 20, you can also sacrifice sealed familiars for a power value that they have, and that's used to obtain character talents. The talent system in this game is a bit convoluted. After completing a certain quest at level 20, you unlock your character's talent tab. At 20 and every 5 levels afterward, you gain a new open talent slot. Each character has 3 talent specs dedicated to different aspects of their class. You can purchase talents from any spec providing you meet the talent's level requirement, and you have the appropriate amount of power, which you get by sacrificing sealed familiars. You can then slot purchased talents into open talent slots. Like I said, it's a little convoluted. The power requirement is really just a time sink because you have to tame familiars, seal them up, and then feed them into your power pool. While you could argue that purchasing all talents would give you flexibility, you'd have to spend a lot of gold to reset talent slots all the time, and you'd also invest a lot of time obtaining the power needed to get them all. Purchasing just the needed talents for a particular build seems way more efficient, time-wise and maybe even gold-wise. As for personal progress, I made it to level 28, unlocking 2 talent slots. Perhaps the most notable part of the week was obtaining Tazlan the Devourer as a pet, who provides some great buffs for my class. This took both a bit of grinding and a lucky break. After farming Brangan Shaman and Kabimists for 3 or 4 hours looking for a Shadowbind Tome, which is used to tame Tazlan, absolutely no success, I leveled my test alt until he was able to do the last quest in Brackar Forest. I then repeated the solo story instance using the recall stone before the final encounter each time for another few hours until I finally got a couple of tomes to drop. By sheer luck, I later on looted an elite pet scroll from a random pirate at Parnas Coast, allowing me to transform Tazlan into a pet. It seems like the drop rate on Shadowbind tomes are pretty damn low, but when you're talking about one of the best pets for both magic-based classes, priest and wizard, it's pretty reasonable when you think about it. Speaking of which, according to the wiki, I should now have the best in slot mounts and pets for my class, and I'm not even level 30 yet. When the game's main mechanic is taming familiars, it feels really odd to have pretty much everything you need mount and pet-wise only halfway through the leveling process. I really hope I'm mistaken, otherwise the developers need to find a better way to motivate players interested in obtaining better mounts and pets towards late game. Anyway, I think that's about all the time I have for this episode. Next week, I hope to touch on crafting, tempering, extraction, and whatever else I discover. Join me on the Arcane server, North America, or watch live Saturday through Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on my stream at twitch.tv/shenanigans1930. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and feel free to suggest a game for next month down in the comments. Thanks again for watching, and as always, take care, guys.
The light of Allura. Such beauty. Such power.
This looks like Sephiroth and Mal'Ganis have teamed up.
You again. You're too late. I've already taken everything I need. The Age of Ruin is at hand.
Age of Ruin. He's not taking any damage, is he?
What a waste.
What a pity.
The Age of Hakanas is over. The God of Ruin will awaken, and the kingdom will fall.
Deus Ex Machina for the win.
You're a hard man to find. Hand over the princess. Careful now. Her life force is bound with mine. If you kill me, she dies too.
This isn't over, Rondo. Careful. Death lurks in every shadow.
Why can't I complete my quests? What the hell's going on? Right. I can't summon bird. Can't summon anything. Is it bugged again?
Careful. Death lurks in every shadow.
Yep. Okay, I guess we're gonna have to log out and back in because it's bugged. My game has ceased to function. It hasn't crashed, it's still running. It just won't let me interact with anything. Best game ever. Best game ever.